What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and we're working again on the T18. I'm having a lot of fun switching between the T18 and the 280ZX. It's always a good time, but today we are sorting out the engine and wiring side of things. Fun fact for you guys, I hate wiring, it's the worst, but I'm pretty excited about getting this sorted. So it's a job that we have to get out of the way, and it's been made simpler by the fact that we have been sent an adapter loom by my good friend Matt Gresham. I will put his website in the link below in the description so you guys can check it out. For anyone who owns a BMW or is doing a BMW motor conversion in their car, E30, E36, he makes adapter looms so that everything just plugs straight in, which is really handy. And he's pretty much the BMW guru. He also tunes ECUs, sells a bunch of very handy BMW parts, makes awesome solid shifters. I have one of the solid shifters in my E36. Very nice product, and very affordable as well, so make sure you go check out his website. But the loom is awesome because essentially it's got the plug that we plug in, and everything is labelled here for me. So we have starter motor, we have oil pressure sensor, alternator, power or ignition, 12 volt power to ECU. Everything is just here. Fuel pump, 12 volts. This will go straight to our fuel pump. Boom, our fuel pump will be wired up, powered up. So it just makes life really simple, but we have a lot to deal with here today. So obviously, because we have put a BMW engine into a Toyota chassis, we have both looms to deal with. So here we have the BMW loom, and then all throughout the car we also have the Toyota loom, which is here. We've got parts of it here because it used to be carbureted, so it has like a coil loom, all the other stuff here. So really quite a lot that we have to deal with, and a lot of it we can delete, which is really nice. And the aim today is we want to tidy the engine bay up, get everything hopefully wired up. I went to the auto store and bought some wrinkle black paint for the rocker cover to make it look all pretty. Some stickers for the dash, because we're going to be putting some switches in. So we've got an on switch for the ignition power. We've got a push button for the push button start, so that we don't have to worry about any of the kind of key or anything like that. Obviously we've got some wire, electrical tape, and yeah, so we're going to remove the intake manifold as well, and we're going to tidy everything up under that, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm deleting. I won't be running an idle control valve or anything like that. I delete them completely, and all I do is turn up the idle a little bit on the throttle body instead, because we don't run the air conditioning, so no need for the idle control valve or anything like that. I have to make sure the water lines are run properly, so yeah. And then I'm keen, obviously we're going to spray the rocker cover, polish up the engine bay. We have a nice new K&N pod filter here for the intake, which is mad. So hopefully by the end of today, or by the end of this episode, we will have the engine side of things mostly sorted out and wired up. First things first, let's get the intake manifold off and see what's going on under there. Alright, so intake manifold is off, and it's just this kind of stuff I'm talking about with the water lines that go to the throttle body, which are for, like, I don't know, it's something to do with like when you have your car in really cold temperatures and stuff, which we don't, so don't need that. So eliminate these hoses and just loop that under the manifold. We're also eliminating the super leaky idle control valve thing, and we'll just block this off instead. Eliminating a bunch of stuff under the intake manifold to make the car as simple as possible. So all the stuff, and that way you minimize the risk at the track of something leaking or anything like that, and also make things look way tidier as well, which is always nice. So I'm going to take the rocker cover off as well, and we'll just keep on keeping on. This thing definitely needs a water blast. There's a lot of caked up stuff in here just from this engine not being super well looked after over the years. I love taking engine bays that look shit and making them look awesome. Alrighty, so that wasn't too hard of a job. One thing that's always really nice to see, especially with an engine that looks so dirty on the outside, is how clean this engine is on the inside. It is so clean. One of the cleanest ones I've ever seen. There's no sludge or anything like that. It's really nice actually. It looks like it's actually been well maintained. Like usually there's a whole bunch of sludge built up around all the vanos and stuff like that, but this thing is just absolutely pristine on the inside. So one of those you cannot judge a book by its cover type scenarios, because this thing, yeah, it just looks awesome, which I'm stoked about. So obviously it's been well looked after, so kudos to whoever owned this beforehand. And you know, we have run this engine before because me and Damon started it when we got the 320i that we paid $200 for when we picked this engine up, but then we found the vert, so we never ended up using that E36, and then we kind of just pulled it apart, took the body to the wrecker. I kept the engine and gearbox and whatnot. So yeah, we're going to sand the rocker cover down, degrease it, sand it, and then we're going to put some wrinkle black on it, and it'll just make it look super nice again. So when we put it all back together, everything will come up real nice. So now we're going to go ahead, just delete the stuff in the engine bay that we don't need, loop the heater core water system at the back because we're not using a heater core obviously in this car, it's a race car, and start sorting out some of this wiring stuff. So we had a bit of rain come through, so I had to quickly throw up the marquee. These things are not easy to put up by yourself in such a tight spot, but got it done without anything getting wet, so that's pretty rad. But I've tidied up everything under the throttle body that we need to tidy up, so that's all good. So now we're going to go ahead, and I'm thinking we'll mount this loom back here, nice and tidy up under here. I feel like that'll work, and then we can kind of go ahead and put the inlet manifold back on. I think I'm going to tidy it up quickly, make it look nice, bolt it back onto the engine, move forward and start having a suss of this wiring. Making progress. Great, so that looks really nice and tidy back there, sitting almost like it would factory, which is nice. Hopefully, I think there's enough length on the injector loom so that it all plugs in nicely and fits back there. So for the ECU, because I don't want to have the ECU sitting out in the open here where potentially water could come up if we're drifting in the rain or whatever. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut a hole here so that we can put this loom through into the passenger footwell, and we'll mount the ECU in the passenger footwell, so there's no risk of getting water and the ECU and ending our day early. So that should keep that nice and tidy, which is awesome. So slowly but surely really tidying things up here. Then we'll do the rocker cover now. Pro tip, silicone always makes things look brand new. Anything black that's plastic or rubber, silicone. This is a car salesman's trick when they go to sell cars. Let it sit for a bit so that it can all soak in, wipe it off, boom, looks nice and new. So I'll let that sit, soaks into the plastic, wipe it off, and we'll chuck it on. So I was about to start tidying up the rocker cover, getting it ready so that we could spray it black, which would have taken a little bit of effort, when I realised I have an M52 rocker cover sitting in my garage from my broken B28 engine, and I thought maybe perhaps they fit on the M50, and they do. Literally a perfect fit, which I'm super stoked about, because now I don't have to paint the other rocket cover. I can just degrease this one, wipe it off, and then it's also got brand new gaskets in the rocket cover as well, which is awesome because the old ones from the M50 B20 are very hard and brittle. That's freaking awesome. And then we grab the plastic cover as well, which stops the rain getting into the cylinders, and added bonus, it has the words BMW on it, which is always nice, especially for our T18. When you pop the bonnet, people kind of get super surprised when they see a BMW engine sitting in there. Super cool. Oh man, I'm stoked about that. So that saves us some work. So we'll just clean this rocker cover off, chuck it on, put all the bolts back on. Man, this setup is just going to come up so tidy. The rain is definitely coming down nice and hard at the moment. We're going to keep pushing on. The rocker cover is ready to go back onto the engine, so we're going to throw that on now and move on to the next job. Alright, rocker cover's on. Damn, it looks so much better than that old crusty thing we had on before. Everything's starting to tidy up really nice. Next up, intake manifold back onto the engine. First, we're going to cut a hole in the firewall so we can put the ECU loom through. Wow, so as you can see, got the inlet manifold on. That silicone really worked its magic. It looks brand new, which is great. And the whole setup now just looks so much tidier. That loom tucked out down at the back there really just looks really good down there. I was struggling to think where I was actually going to put it, but then once we took the inlet manifold off, I realised it fits really nice down there. Everything's really starting to come together. I think I'm still going to run the battery in the same place up front here. I was thinking about running it in the cabin, but that means just a whole bunch more wiring, whereas the wiring for the battery is already up here in the front. So I think if we'll chuck the pod filter on now and kind of see how the whole setup's going to look, we'll kind of decide where we're going to have the battery and kind of get a better view about how this whole thing is going to come together. But stoked, guys, very stoked. Looks so good. And there we have it. That is the progress that we've made for today. Not sure if we'll keep the pod filter in that exact spot. I don't hate it. It's not bad. It'll do what it needs to do, I think. But overall, I think the whole setup just looks a million times better than it did this morning, which is cool. Everything's quite nice and tidy. So tomorrow we're going to tackle the wiring and see how we go with that one. But yeah, I'm very happy with how this has come out. So we'll wrap it up there for the night. I think some massive progress made on this thing, which is rad. But I'll see you guys in the morning for some wiring. We're going to need a lot of coffee because I hate wiring, but we need to get it done. So see you in the morning. Boom, we're back. It's another day, another dreary day here. It's raining once again, but we're in high spirits. We're back with the T18, and now we're starting to get into some electrical stuff, which is always fun. Anyway, so I've got the battery sitting in the engine bay here. I have the power side of the loom on the battery. I don't have a grounding port for the battery. I have to go out and grab one at some point. So I've just got some clamps here that are just going to the body just to ground it out for now. Super dodgy, but it'll work because all we're doing is testing the electrical components within the engine bay. We want the lights to go, we want the indicators to go so that we can pass scrutineering, we want the tail lights to go, and that's basically all we need from the stock loom in the T18. Everything else can be deleted and removed to really minimize the amount of wiring that we have. So we're going to put the ground cable on and kind of see what's going on with the electrical within the car. Let's hope that it doesn't explode. Alright, nothing exploded. That's good. First things first, we see that the indicator lights are going, which is handy because that means that there is some power running through the loom, which is nice. So first we'll check the headlights to make sure that they go, and then yeah, if that's the case, then that kind of proves my theory that really we only need kind of this area of the wiring here from the T18 hooked up, and all the rest of this stuff can disappear, which is rad. So let's turn the headlights on, make sure that they go. Look at that, they do go. Oh wow, it looks like they've got some kind of LED bulb or something in them. I've not seen old school headlights look like that before, so that's pretty rad. With that sorted, we know that this stuff is completely useless to us, so we can delete it, which is freaking awesome. I'm going to jump in the car now, turn on the ignition to see what kind of comes up on the dash, and hopefully nothing catches on fire up here. Even the backlights go, that's crazy. I think this thing hasn't been run up or anything for a long time. One of the tail lights here is out, but the indicators go, This tail light's going. That is mental. I mean, I was expecting that I was going to have to do a whole lot more work in this thing to kind of get all of this stuff running, but apparently not, which is nice. So I struggled to find where to turn the hazard lights off, but it turns out they're right here. The dash lights seem to work. We've got full beam, which is rad, so we're going to turn the ignition on now. As you can see, it doesn't have much of an ignition. Still use the key though. Oh, so we have voltage. I think that's on. Indicators work. Yep. Crazy. Voltage is on. Alright, so nothing seems to be catching fire, which is nice. So I'm going to take a multimeter to the engine bay, just suss out where power is going to, what's going on. But I think we're in a really good spot with the power here. It's kind of super easy. It means that all I need to do is hook power up to the loom that we've been sent from Matt Gresham, and the engine should run, which is, this is so simple. It should be harder than this, I'm sure. And then we're going to hook up some switches in here. We're going to have an on switch and a start button and stuff, so that we can turn the engine over, and hopefully we're in a good spot. Alright, so there's one wire that we need out of this whole big piece of loom right here, and that is this black and white wire right here, and that's the starter motor wire. So that's what's going to send signal to the starter motor to turn over, to make the engine turn over. So that wire will run to our custom loom that Matt Gresham has made us here. So that'll run to this wire here called starter, and then the rest of the wires in this we can do away with. So we'll disconnect this part of the loom and we'll literally just use that wire, and the rest we tucked in nicely, we won't even see it. This stuff here, we don't need any of it, so we're going to delete the whole lot. So really lucky that the headlights, tail lights and indicators work, which is the main part of what we need. I'm going to wire up the two switches on the inside of the car to the ignition panel, so that when we turn the ignition on, it'll be via switch instead of that stupid little key thing. So we're going to do that now. Alright, so here is our ignition loom. Literally plugs in under the dash to the ignition. It used to go obviously to our little, where the key obviously used to turn, what used to be connected to this, I've cut it off. So I've joined everything to a terminal here that needs to be joined, and then the power is here. So this, once this connects to here, that'll turn the ignition on, so everything will have power. So we'll run this to a switch and this to a switch, and that'll power up the car. And then this one here is the starter motor wire, so that's going to be on a separate button that we push. If you're an auto electrician, I apologize in advance for my wiring skills. I am terrible at wiring, but that's the way it goes. So we're going to fit this up, and we've got a couple of switches here. So we've got the push button here and the switch, same as what I have in my drift car. Yeah, make it look nice and tidy. So I quickly ran into the garage and drilled some holes in our dash thing here, and so I can put the switch and the push button into. Super basic setup. It's going to be nice and tidy though. This will just sit nicely in here just like that. So when you go to start the car, you just flick the switch up, push the button, and she'll start, hopefully. Nice and tidy, I love it. But we'll keep cracking on now. We'll make the wee loom that goes to these switches, and then we can put it all back together nicely. There we have it. Everything is done inside the car in terms of switches. We've got our nice little stickers there for the switch and the start button, so people know what's going on. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but you know, once we get other switches for the fans and stuff in there, it'll be a little bit different. So yeah, I think it looks really nice and tidy. It looks awesome. It all works, which is cool. You push this button to start it, boom, good to go. So yeah, continue on with the nice tidy theme of the car. Obviously the rest of the car needs some work, but that's coming up. That's a wrap for us guys on this episode. I've had enough of being out here in the cold and the rain. I've finally called it a day, but we've made some major progress. This whole setup is looking absolutely amazing. It really looks like it was supposed to be there, so that's pretty cool. The electrical is pretty much done. and then soon we'll be moving on to the other little jobs that we have to get done before we take this to Damon's workshop in 2 weeks time. So still a bunch of other little things to go. Next episode we'll be turning the car over, but yeah, until next time guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram @itsmikeblack. Remember, we will be giving this car away sometime in the near future once it's finished, once we're taking it to a couple of events and we know that it's reliable. So I hope you guys are pumped for that. Shout out to all the new subscribers on the channel, you guys. Thank you guys so much for supporting. It's mad. We've got lots coming up. 280 ZX, we've got the E36, we're doing stuff too. Obviously the T18 stuff, it's all awesome, but thank you guys.